Hey there, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to the second round of the subscriber suggest series. If you haven't checked out day 1 or 2 or the full previous series that I did, the playlist is in the description box below for you guys. And today's video is a long time coming. I went back and tried to see who was it that first suggested I pick up this video again, and I think what I found was Jen Ibarra. So I hope if you're still watching you caught this video, but I know when I did a video on best to worst of all my celebrity fragrances, you guys really loved that, and I said if you guys were interested I can continue doing it for other like genres of fragrance. So I'm back here with niche. Niche will actually have to be in 2 parts. So if you like this part, don't forget to leave me in the description box below and I can come back and do some fragrances that I was just on the fence about. Mainly kind of dupe houses like Alharmain or Rasasi, and then all of my decants as well. I kind of left for the second part if you guys are interested to see that. But for now, these are, and I tried my best to grab every single niche fragrance that I could from my collection, and we're just going to go through them as much as possible by house. I tried to arrange them all here, but they're a little all over the place, and it'll just be very quick snapshot reviews of how I feel about it and if I recommend it, kind of just rating and going through. So if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So I guess we'll just start from here over, and the first one I've got is my only sur le temps, and that's Claude Mask. I really like this fragrance. I will say I don't overtly recommend it for just anyone because it really does smell quite like a clean French milled like chic soap. That's how I described it, and it's pretty spot on. I would say if you've ever smelled like French milled soap, it's very clean and crisp and musky, but not in an animalic like kind of like dirty musk kind of way, in a very clean musk kind of way. So I know it's not for everyone, but I absolutely love this, and I would like to actually get my hands on some more sur le temps fragrances, but this is the first I ever got, and I would say if you're into those kinds of fragrances, I would definitely recommend. Then along the same line, my only Montal that I own, Sweet Oriental Dream. I did a video, I've already talked about this in my second impressions, and I feel like it really hasn't changed since then. I like it. It's a very strong almond powder rose type fragrance, and it's definitely very powdery, very strong, incredible lasting power. But I would say you can certainly overspray with this. It is a little bit of the quality that might choke you out, and I really would not recommend wearing this unless it's kind of cold or cooler outside, because I wore it once in heat and it absolutely choked me out. Then sort of on the same lines, we've got my only Mancera, and that's Holidays. Again, I've spoken about this in my second impressions. I really like this. It's a huge 120 ml bottle, so I don't know if I will have occasion, just by virtue of where I live and how little travel we'll be doing in the next little bit, to wear this as much as I would like to, because it is very holiday, summer, spring-like. Not that I don't wear summery spring fragrances whenever I want, because I often do, but this is it's just very holiday evoking. Certainly just makes me think of a beach or Caribbean getaway without being too sunscreen like, which I actually enjoy sunscreeny fragrances, but this is kind of like your step array into that array, if that makes any sense. I really do like it, and I find it a lot more wearable and less of that synthetic feeling than the Montal. But again, I only have one of each house, so I can't really speak to the full range at all. Then we get to another house where I only have one, and that is the Merchant of Venice. And this one really threw me in a loop, because I have long just lusted after Merchant of Venice online. There's nowhere that I know that I'd be able to try them out in person. And I don't know what it was about the bottles per se, but there was just something about this house that always intrigued me, and I always looked them up, and they weren't really spoken about either. So I was very curious. And after a lot of reflection, I actually bought this from, I think, Fragrance Net from the States. And I was really excited because note-wise, it seemed totally up my alley. And then the reality is that it wasn't. And it still isn't something I would have picked had I smelled it. It's very ginger spicy. It's nothing like the violet floral that I thought it was going to be. And what I will say is that there is something about it that is intriguing, and it's that same level of intrigue that's in the iris carnation, like the infusion d'iris, but the carnation version, or flanker. I have like a little version of that, and there is something about that that also reminds me of this. I don't know, this one is still one of those fragrances where I'm starting to actually really like the scent, but not necessarily on me. I just love to smell it. And so I'm torn on that one, but I am still, for whatever reason, really intrigued about the house, and I would like to try out more one day. Then we get to Halligans, which is a house I actually love, and I've tried a whole bunch, but I only actually own 2 of their fragrances. And the first is Iris Prima, and that's from their regular line. This one I really do like. It's like a fall take on Iris. Fall winter, a cooler take, because it's definitely like leathery satin. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I do like this, and I've actually put a good dent into this. They're also very inexpensive. The Iris Primas were super on sale online, so I definitely recommend. The original, my first Halligans fragrance that I ever got was one I had my eye on for ages. When this Portraits collection came out, there was just something about the Impudent Cousin Matthew. I actually really love the entire range, everything I've smelled anyways, and I would very easily fall under the rabbit hole of like getting all of them because they're very collectible. But this one is just a citrusy, clean, stunning fragrance. And I feel like if you're gonna have only one of this type of fragrance, which I own very many of them, but this would be a really beautiful one to have. And I feel like because of the name and that it's technically a men's fragrance, a lot of women don't give it a chance, but I think it's definitely unisex, and it's so fresh and clean and just citrusy. It kind of makes me think of like a European getaway. Yeah, love that. Then we will get to my only Maison Francis Kurkdjian like full bottle, and that is Féminin Pluriel. Again, not one from the range that gets a lot of love. It's soft and yet has incredible lasting power like you'd expect from the house. It lasts ages and ages, over the night. Like, I've woken up and still smelled this, but it's a soft fragrance. It's a kind of a cocktail of every single floral, slightly shampoo-y, very feminine, obviously, with the name, and I feel like it is a classic fragrance, and it does not get enough love because I think it's a really beautiful one from his entire range. Then we get to 3 from Juliette Has a Gun. I'll start with my favorite, which is always the way. It's the one in the smaller bottle, but this is and I love this. It's very Hypnotic Poison. It's very Armani Cashmere. Oh, it's very root beer-like, which you guys know. I'm a sucker for root beer, almondy fragrances, and this is that. I love it. I wish it lasted longer. On me, it tends to fade away longer than, or sooner than I'd want it to, but it isn't one of those like immediate disappears by any means. I've heard from some of you that you get great lasting power, so I think it's more so up to your skin chemistry than it just being an all-around bad performer. Then we get to the other 2. I'll start with the other one from Juliette Has a Gun that I actually like, and that's Lady Vengeance. This one, the perfumer is Francis Kurkdjian. It's really nice. It's a darker, mysterious, rosy, iso-y, super woody, type fragrance. I really do like this. I feel like I bought it during spring, summer, and I was wearing it, but I knew that it would be one that I'd go to in fall and winter, and it's been the case. I've actually worn this a bunch, and I'm really, really liking it. And then we get to a very disappointing fragrance, which admittedly I have not really fallen back to, and that's not a perfume. I thought that I could smell these not a perfume fragrances and that they smelled great on me because of Glossier You and that Katy Perry one. I forget what it is, but Indivisible or something like that. Indie. And that one's kind of similar to Glossier You, and I got this one, and I think in the second impressions video, I compared it to, it's incredible how reminiscent this fragrance is to that story, like The Emperor's New Clothes, where I swear I don't get it. It is very much like I'm spraying 99.9% water with like a smidge of lemon juice. And that's only sometimes. Like right now, I can't even get that. I really have to have sprayed absolutely nothing, and then I'll get some citrusy elements to it, but it really smells like nothing to me, and it has been so disappointing because I know a whole lot of people love this fragrance, and honestly my experience with this made me not want to get Molecule 01 or even venture down that path anymore, because Glossier You is really the only one that's worked for me so far that I can smell, and I love that kind of pencil shaving woodiness of it and muskiness, and this smells like nothing, and I wish I could smell this. So if you guys can smell this, and if you own this, please tell me what it smells like to you, because on me, it smells like I'm spraying water, like Evian water spray. Then we will get to the two I have from, from Parfums de Marly. I can't believe I forgot that. So I have Delena. That's the first one I got from the range. I've said this before, all hype aside, because I know people were in love with it and then a bunch of people hated it and it just went very up and down. I really like this. I love the rhubarb quality to it. I feel like, I'm gonna layer this, just one spray. I really, really do like this. The main thing that I've struggled with this fragrance isn't the scent. I love the rhubarb, I love the rose, I love the muskiness. I love that it's like a more youthful feminine take. I totally see why people would wear this on their wedding day, but the lasting power on this is just not there, and I feel like it fluctuates to a certain degree. For a while it was like an hour on me, which was very disappointing, and then some days I'll get like 4 hours, which is a lot better, but it really never performs the way I wish it would, and especially for a niche house. So that's the only thing that's been disappointing. Scent wise, I really do like it. The other one, which I love from the house, is Athalia. You guys know this is just like an even classier, elevated version of Infusion d'Iris. It's very, very irisy and powdery and soft, and surprisingly, even though it's a softer scent, much better lasting power and soft sillage. Not a lot of sillage there, but it definitely lasts a lot longer during the day, and even when it's a skin scent, it hangs around longer in all of my trials at least than the Delena ever did. So yeah, but I love them both for sure. All right, so then we'll get to the État d'Orange. I'll start with the one I love, which is True Lust. I've talked this fragrance to death, but I still really, really like it. I feel like it's the perfect encapsulation of like being a Gemini, because it just has everything under the sun. It's soft and floral, it's spiced and leathery, it's musky, it's a little animalic, it's truly everything. I feel like I really want to spray this, just one on my hand here. I love it. I really do. I also went a little up and down with this. When I first bought it, I think I was expecting a more refined, safe, powdery fragrance, because it had listed that it was powdery, and it's not that. It's very interesting, very complex, and it reminds me a little bit of the Adam Levine for her, like it has, or for women, whatever that is, the one that looks like a microphone. They have that same like warm, spiced quality that's powdery and not a makeup-y kind of way, because I know that isn't everyone's jam. And then more recently, I'd picked up Bijoux Romantique by Atelier d'Orange. This one I'm struggling a little bit more with, I'll be honest. It hasn't flipped on me yet. I'm still kind of comparing it because I said there were elements of this that reminded me of Dior Addict, and those parts I love, but there is also something like cleaning product-y, like toilet bowl cleaner, which I know that is not appetizing at all, or maybe potpourri. There's just something about this that is reminding me of like cleaning bathrooms or public restrooms, which is a hard sell for this fragrance, I realized, but I'm still trying to figure this one out. This one's interesting. I wouldn't expect anything less from Atelier d'Orange. At least they went out there, so I just need to play around with it some more. So maybe by the time I do a second impressions, I'll have fallen completely in love with it. But for now, I'm very, I don't know, here and there with that one, I suppose. Then we'll get to the two I have from Creed, and they're very, very different. I've got an extreme love and an extreme hate. We'll start with the love. That's Virgin Island water. This was a fragrance that I went from decant to full bottle. And as much as I hated to admit it, the hype is real with this fragrance. I wear this since I've gotten it in every weather imaginable, even though it is like a quintessential summer fragrance. It smells like lime and coconut and copra, and it just smells as if you are having the best time on a Caribbean getaway, or at the Virgin Islands, obviously. And I love it. I cannot love it even more. And I have even noticed the differences, because I always thought like, how different would these batch differences really be with the people that are like obsessed with Creeds? They really talk about, and I'm not well versed in the batch differences at all with Creeds, but I have a decant that's obviously a different batch than this one, and I can definitely, like, a noticeable difference between the two. And I feel like my decant is a little bit sweeter than this one, and I don't know, I like both, but because I started with the sweeter one, it sometimes grabs my fancy a little more. I definitely like both though, and they're amazing. I actually love that fragrance. On the other hand, and this might again be a batch difference, because I've heard from everyone that there's huge differences, so I have to try this in store and give it another shot. But my batch of this Creed fragrance, it's the Jardin d'Amalfi and the Le Royal Exclusif, and I just have the little bottle, thank God. It was expensive, but it wasn't as expensive as it could have been. This fragrance, while citrusy, smells even worse than if you were to spray Lysol on you, or maybe, okay, that's dramatic. It smells as bad as if you were to spray Lysol on you. It just smells like lemon pledge, and it must be the batch, because I know there's a lot of people that like this, but for me, honestly, it's completely just turned me off to this. So Creed is very here or there. Even with the decants, if you guys are interested, doing a part 2 to this niche, best to worst, I have a bunch of decants, and they're very, like, it's either extreme love or not at all. So that's for Creed. Then we get to, I only have one by Molina, and it's a bit disappointing. I was so interested in getting a Molina fragrance, and I knew my first one had to be Violette. They all, or a lot of them actually, come in this beautiful, like, violet purple, even the ones that aren't violet. And I just love this bottle, and I thought, how stunning to have the violet, my favorite note in Molina, and it's been disappointing, I have to say. I really do. You can't really see, but I've gotten down there. I've tried to wear this because everything tells me I should love it. And I feel like I would if it didn't have that honeyed note in there. It's a honeyed violet, and I feel like it just overpowers the soft, delicate, beautiful qualities of the violet note. In my opinion, I do not like when violet is overpowered. And if it is going to be, I'd rather it be overpowered with another floral, or even something that is just, like, I feel like with this one, it's harder to explain, but with Atelier d'Orange True Lust, they put in so many different aspects to that fragrance that it didn't bother me that it was, you know, it wasn't like shining a light on violet. But a fragrance that's called Violette, I wanted and expected it to be just different. Something that was, at the very least, like another fragrance I'm going to show you by Histoire de Parfum, at the very least, an authentic violet that was extremely linear would have been better than a honeyed violet, in my opinion. I'm still going to try to wear this. It's not a full hate, and when I take breaks in between, I like it a little more, but it's as if, like, when I isolate in my mind the other notes around it, and it does really have a beautiful violet-y heart there, but it's just completely overpowered, which is a shame. And it's, to be quite honest, turned me off from trying out other Molina fragrances, because they're all named very, like, specific things. It's like vanilla, patchouli, musk, and for me, a fragrance that's called Violette should smell like violets, above and beyond like violet, and I'm afraid if I get the musk, it's just gonna smell completely different. So anyways, if you guys have tried them, let me know what you think. Then we get to my only House of Oud, and this is just on this side. This is Almond Harmony. If you guys have been watching for a while, you know I love this. This is another house. I'm so proud of myself that I did not fall into the rabbit hole of collecting all of them, because they are such collectible bottles. I love this bottle, and it was the first bottle I ever purchased, and I knew I wanted one regardless of the scent. I knew I wanted a House of Oud, and I love this fragrance, which is a total bonus, because everything about it other than the scent is completely up my alley. I've never picked up any of the others. I've always wanted to, but I don't know why. I get into my head about these things, and if I stick to it, which I have thus far, I don't want to break my promise and only have one House of Oud at a time. Feel free to flame me in the comments if you ever see a future haul where I've picked up a House of Oud fragrance. Then we get to that Histoire de Parfum fragrance I mentioned I wanted Molina to be more like. This is Blond Violette. I'm not saying this is my favorite violet, because it actually isn't. It's a very somewhat linear, like very authentic violet flower scent. It's got violet at every stage, the top, the heart, and the base, which makes it extremely violet-y, but it's not especially powdery. Even though it says it's got iris and even rice powder, I don't find this to be a powdery take on violet. I actually find it to be a very floral take, and a very authentic floral take of violet. It's a huge bottle. I got a great deal on it. I do like it, but I think in my particular taste, I love to try all different types of violet, but my favorite is either a powdery violet or a candied violet, and this is much more whimsical and romantic, but I'm really happy I've got it. And I actually bought a tester bottle, which was a happy, not accident, but a happy decision, in that obviously it was a lot more inexpensive, but it actually has all the notes on the side as well, which I love. Then we have two from Bond Number 9. My first that I ever got, which is my longtime love, is Fire Island by Bond Island, or by Fire Island by Bond Number 9. This is a very sunscreeny summer fragrance. It smells like sunscreen and sunshine and neroli, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It definitely has beach by Bobbi Brown vibes, so if you don't like that sort of fragrance, you will not like this, but if you love that sort of fragrance, you will adore this, because ever since I got this, I really rarely wear my Bobbi Brown. It just kind of sits there gathering dust, which is horrible, and I'll try and I'll wear it once and then I'll just come back to this. I really, really love this one. And then the other side of the spectrum, I don't hate this, but it's definitely a difficult fragrance to wear. If I ever do a video on fragrances I struggle wearing, this has to be on that. And this is Madison Soiree. Again, obviously by Bond Number 9. It is, I like aldehydes, but oh my goodness. This is an aldehydic fragrance if I ever saw one. It is so sparkly and effervescent that it almost feels like you're smelling a champagne, like right out of the champagne bottle, straight after you've popped the top. It is very, very sparkly, and after a while you get more of that clean muskiness that comes with aldehydes, but in general it's that extreme bubbly sparkliness that makes it a little bit hard to wear, and even more importantly than that, impossible to layer with. I have tried to layer this with so many things to try and make it work, and it either completely overpowers the other fragrance, or it doesn't work with it, or it ruins it. Even with other clean fragrances, it just, that bubbliness will shine through. So that is an incredibly hard fragrance, which I actually don't mind as much because I ended up finding both of those Bond Number 9s at Marshall's years ago now for great deals. So it wasn't as bad as it could be. Then we've got over here, we've got my At the Barber's by Replica. This is one that isn't talked about a lot in women's videos, at least, because technically it's a male fragrance, but honestly it is my favorite from the entire range. It always has been, and there's so many more that I love that I have tried out, got decants, but I've never bought, and I don't know what it is. Again, it's kind of like a House of Oud situation where I want to finish this before I get more. I don't know why. That might change one day, but I just love this. This is like reminiscent of Madrid 1992. It's shaving cream and leathery notes. It completely transports me to so many memories, so many good memories and so many bad memories, but the good ones are of this salon when I was in Madrid. And it's so perfect that it reminds me of that. So I love that one. Then we get to Mega Flower, and this is by Hermetica. This is a natural fragrance where it's alcohol free. I've talked about it before that this is super like root beer like, floral, intoxicating. I really, really love this. I love the lid and how weighted it is. I love the dark green color of the bottle, and I just randomly came across this house and fragrance online, I think on Fragrance Buy, and I feel like no one else really talks about it, or at least I haven't seen it, and I really do. If you like those kinds of fragrances that are root beer-esque and you're interested and open to trying more natural fragrances, or at least alcohol-free fragrances, I definitely recommend that one. Then we get to my two hommages, and we will start with Sunshine. Sunshine by Amouage. I've talked to death. I adore. Oh my god, just smelling it now. Oh, I just love this fragrance. It is like a sweet white tobacco. Some people get like an apricottiness from the osmanthus. I just love it. I absolutely love this fragrance, and I cannot imagine ever being without it. I would 100% repurchase, honestly, and I love it. Then I also, my other homage is also a yellow bottle. This is Love Mimosa. A lot harder to wear. I really thought, I was going through a mimosa kick earlier this year, I think like in May, June, and that's when I picked it up, I think. That's when I picked up a couple mimosa fragrances, and I do like it, but it, like with Sunshine, Amouage has great lasting power. Sillage, it is a powerhouse beast mode fragrance, and sometimes it can just push me a little too far with the fuzzy mimosa. I do really like it. I'm happy to have it as part of my collection, But on the days where it annoys me, it makes me wish I kind of went for Lilac Love, which is part of that Love collection, because I know I love that one and it probably would have bothered me less. But I'm still really happy to have that. And again, beautiful, beautiful bottle. So then we get to the Comptoir Sud Pacifiques, and I actually have two of them. We'll start with this one, and that is Vanille Banane. This is the one I love. It's happy, it's cheerful, it's banana candy, banana medicine. I've talked about this one for ages. You guys know I love it. I absolutely adore it. On the other side of the spectrum, this happens often. I feel like I have a real love and a real hate, is Eau des Lagons. This one, you guys, smells like a swamp. It smells like a lake and everything that comes with that. It's very murky. It's very, I think it's the lotus, but it smells like wet environment, murky waters, and it's salty. It just, yeah, it smells like a lagoon. And I didn't expect it to be so authentic, so props for authenticity, but it's not a fragrance I want to smell like. Thankfully, I got this on like a sale where it was like $15. It's not the end of the world, but I really, really would advise to be sure that you like this kind of fragrance before you pick up Eau des Lagons. All right, then we will get to fragrance I won't spend a lot of time on, Bal d'Afrique by Byredo. It will forever be a special fragrance to me. It just smells like me. I have to spray this one. I just love it. I am immediately transported to when I bought it in store, all the time I spent sampling and decanting this. I really spent my time with this fragrance, which is interesting because I never do that. And I did it with this one. I did everything you're supposed to do with the samples and the decants and the waiting, and I'm glad I did. It really like prolonged my happiness with this fragrance, but I love it. I cannot say enough good things. I know a lot of people love it, but I know there's a lot of people that also are just not in general fans of Byredo. I am. I've liked a lot of their fragrances that I've sampled, but this one will always have a special place in my heart, and I will probably repurchase, but we'll see how I feel by the time I finish the bottle. Then a fragrance I actually more recently picked up, and this is Masque Immortel by Atelier des Arts. The bottle is stunning, the design is stunning, the house I am starting to get more into. I do struggle with this one. It is a very dusty, strong, like dirty, dark musk, and the Immortel makes it even more of a dusty fragrance. I've been really trying to wear this a lot, and I really am starting to like the Heart and Dry Down. It just warms up. It gets like the very slightest bit of sweetness, which helps. I wouldn't even say it's sweet, it just warms up, I suppose. But the opening I really, really do struggle with, and I was quite worried that it was going to stay in that area. Thankfully, it changes up, and it changes for the better. But still, I feel like this isn't my number one go-to. I just knew this was going to be a little more risky for me. But it's a stunning bottle, and I'm happy to try to, you know, experience new scents, and you can't just always get the same thing over and over again if you're going to be really into fragrance, I suppose. I really do love the packaging and everything, which I usually am not super into, but it was very, very impressive. And sometimes when you're spraying, I didn't really think the gold flecks would get on your skin, but I've sprayed it before and I've seen like little flecks of gold all over my arms and my neck, so that's special. Then we get to, I think, two houses. Yeah, I think there's two houses where there's a whole bunch of fragrances. So I'll start with Xerjoff. I've got 3 from Xerjoff, and we'll go one by one. We'll start with Dama Blanca, which is the one I'm still wearing the most, I think. This is a fresh, citrusy, clean, floral. A little, I mean, I've seen people say it's powdery. I wouldn't say it's especially powdery, honestly, because I'm a huge powdery fragrance person, and I wouldn't equate this with being like a powdery powerhouse. But yeah, I would say it's a citrusy floral. It's very clean, it's very classy. I do like it. In general, I feel like I earlier this year was super into trying to get into zerf, and then I got 3 and thought I loved them, and honestly, as the years gone by, I don't really wear any of the 3. And I don't regret them. They're nice in their own way, but I don't think the hype is real for me personally. So that kind of goes across the board, but this one I probably wear the most out of the 3. Then we'll get to, La Tosca, which I thought was going to be the one I wear the most because it's got violet, but it has an herbaliness to it, which, much like Violette by Molina, I can smell the most beautiful violet in this, and the citrus and everything surrounding it, but that herbal green, I don't even know what it is. It's not especially leafy. It's almost like leafy and mossy mixed up in one. It turns me off, and it makes it very difficult to wear. This is also a beast house, like beast mode powerhouse fragrance, so that quality sticks around for a very long time, and it doesn't really dissipate, honestly, even in the heart and dry down. The way Musk Immortel changes up for the better, that one stays pretty similar throughout. And then the last one, Lyra, is a favorite of so many, and it is it's a very like caramel, chocolate, orange type fragrance. It's incredibly gourmand, and I like it. I will wear it much more now. I feel like it's a really nice holiday fragrance. Maybe I'll wear it around Christmas and stuff, because it's like probably the one time around the year where it will really appeal to me. But I'm not die-hard obsessed with it. I'm not really a caramel, orange, or chocolate type fragrance person, and I think one is enough. I'm glad if I'm gonna have one of that type of scent, I have it in Lyra, because it really is a beautiful take on it. But like I said, in general, zerf has left me wanting more. So maybe I'll try more one day, maybe I won't, but we'll see. And then finally we get to Acqua di Parma, and I actually have 7 to share with you, which I didn't think I owned that many, but I do, which is a lot for me because I don't usually have a lot from a house. The first 2 kind of go hand in hand, and I have them in their little boxes. I'll take them out, but I'll speak about them together. I have Acqua di Parma Colonia, which I really, really love. I've continued to love, and I will continue to love probably my whole life. It's very citrusy and clean and barbershoppy and unisex, in my opinion, and I think it's actually a unisex fragrance. This is the one where like Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn, Ava Gardner, like everyone wore this. And then I also have the Colonia Essenza, which is the more updated, slightly creamier version. I feel like if I had to pick, and it's so difficult because they're beautiful, but if I had to pick, I would say this one is just one step more elevated than this because of that creaminess. The slightly creamier barbershop fragrance. They're very similar, but if I had to pick, I would say Colonia Essenza. These are incredibly reduced in price often now, so you can get them for a lot better deals, and I really recommend them. They just transport me to an Italian getaway, which is always beautiful and especially needed this year. And then I have the entire range, the entire Nobile range, which were 5 fragrances each, kind of highlighting a flower, and we'll just go in the order I have it here. This is Iris Nobile, which is one of the last ones I got, and this one, the perfumer is Francis Kurkdjian. I really need to start wearing this more. I fell in love with it. I absolutely did, and I don't know why, but my Nobile range has just not been getting enough love lately, so I'm definitely going to wear this. It is a beautiful, beautiful iris, and what I like about this Nobile range is whatever the flower is, it really is highlighting around that. Nothing is overpowering it, but the citrus, the kind of quintessential citrusy notes and freshness that you would expect from Acqua di Parma just elevate the floral. They don't overtake it, or the other florals that are mixed in don't overpower it ever. Even with the soft floral like iris, you can really, really smell it. Then we have Magnolia Nobile, which is, funnily, my least favorite from the range because it has either pink or black pepper. I feel like probably pink pepper, but you can definitely smell it. It's a beautiful peony. I love the citrus. It has a touch more of that pepper than I would personally like, But I feel like if you tend to like fragrances, I know a lot of people, not a lot, but I know there's some of you who say you love my videos, but we have very like opposite tastes. I feel like you will love this. I feel like from the range, don't get iris, get peonia if you find that you're always opposite to me. If you find that you're always like me, get iris and not peony. So I hope that helps, regardless of your taste. Then we've got Rosa Nobile, which I love. It is a beautiful take. It's like a very rose water bergamot fragrance. It's very feminine. I feel like this, I've said it before, but it's such a good like day date fragrance. It really isn't going to offend anybody, and it's just feminine but not sexy. It's not trying to be seductive. It's just safe and beautiful and wonderful for the day. Then we have Magnolia Nobile. I actually really love this one too. I've said before, like these descriptions that I first gave, they've remained true. This is a Southern Belle fragrance if I ever knew one. It is just very like reminiscent of May, June. I feel like this would be a fragrance worn at cotillion. It just evokes like imagery for me that isn't like my life per se, obviously, because I'm not from the South, but it's a very Southern Belle, cotillion, big ball gown in the summer, Georgia type fragrance. And I really do like this one from the range. And then finally, we've got Amino Noble, which is my number 2, like one step below iris. Some days I even prefer this. And it's so beautiful. Again, it's highlighting jasmine. It's got some more florals in there, some really sweet citrus, and I love that. So those are all of my fragrances, my niche fragrances in my collection in the part 1. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed these quick reviews of best to worst in each house, or just going through all of my niche fragrances. Don't forget to leave me a comment below if you'd like to see the second part where I show some of those more inexpensive niches and my decants. I'd love to do that for you guys. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next subscriber suggest video. Bye!